Labor Party wants to go around chasing green votes and preventing the access to gas resources, then that has one obvious consequence. It makes gas more expensive and less available.
No one is laughing at the Territory, but they recognise the situation that we're in.
Restraining access to a big resource like that here is clearly going to deprive Territorians.
We've got to make the right decision for Territorians because there are real jobs right now in tourism, cattle, fishing and farming. And as Chief Minister, I will make a decision that puts Territorians first.
Might just have a bit of a look down here, Dave, and see if there's any cattle outside this gate. I think if we run out of gas in Sydney, if the lights go off in Sydney, and like they're talking about in 2018, I think that just about any government is going to be pretty desperate to do whatever they need.
Across Colin Ross's cattle property, the water holes and rivers are full for now. But in the dry, the $200 million operation is dependent on the huge interlinked network of freshwater aquifers below it. If the Northern Territory's fracking moratorium is lifted, Hancock Prospecting will drill through the aquifers to access the shale gas below.
Majority of the water we use is bore water. We pump to the surface, and obviously we're extremely worried about contamination, and we're worried about the depletion of the aquifer.
Neighbour Rod Dunbar shares Colin's concerns. His property was approved for test fracking before the moratorium was enforced. Origin Energy's own impact assessment rated the risk of its drilling causing aquifers to leak as high, likely and serious.
If another aquifer's got a high salt content or some other content in it, it could damage the aquifer that we're using to water the cattle.
However, Rod expects the NT government will lift the moratorium and then fracking on his property will go ahead.
There's enormous pressure being placed on them by the Commonwealth and other states of the country because there's no gas, they're exporting it and they're not looking after Australia, and there's not many people live in this part of the world and there's gas here, and I think they'll just do it, regardless.
Sheila Conway's song records a kangaroo dreaming journey between sacred springs and rivers. Traditional owners are also worried their land has been earmarked for gas exploration.
We don't want to. What you're fracking, eh? What you going to do with that?
What are you worried might happen if they do mining on it?
Well, boy, you know what? We don't want fracking because seeing all the things it does. We heard stories about America, what they done there. So we don't want to suffer around here.
A day of cleaning up at this gas drilling site in the Northern Tier. Now
the companies will have to convince the Gunner government it's safe to overturn the fracking moratorium. They're rejecting any associations with complaints from the US and pointing to their South Australian operations as proof of their track record.
You can look at places like the Cooper Basin, where we have the coexistence of organic farming at surface with Australia's most similar type project to the Beetaloo. So I think the record of the industry is very strong. Daily Waters is just here, and if we go across to the east along the Carpenter...
Origin Energy says the company has already taken measures to mitigate against the risk of aquifer leaks identified in its impact assessment.
So what Origin did was engineer and design our surface casing such that there was no possibility for cross-flow between those two aquifers.
Origin is also adamant its 400 wells on the Beetaloo Basin would remain sound long after the end of the project once they're filled with concrete.
Look, I don't know if any scientist will ever tell you anything lasts forever or anything is forever. We expect that this will have integrity for the life required of the well.
This is it. This is all that's left.
Yeah, you wouldn't even hardly know.
Well, you'd hardly know, yeah, that's right. There was a drilling rig here and...
This fracking well was drilled on Rowan Sullivan's property before the moratorium was enforced.
There's at least 4 layers of steel casing plus concrete between the well itself and the surrounding country and the aquifer. And then I guess the other thing is that they're going so deep that they're not going to impact that particular aquifer where we get our cattle water from.
He now wants the moratorium lifted so that remote infrastructure, including roads, will be improved.
My experience is that the oil and gas industry have been pretty good to deal with.
Well, the drill string which is used to drill the well, the drilling companies would come to us to repair the threads on those.
With the NT government facing a contracting economy and a large budget deficit, the industry is stepping up economic pressure for the moratorium to be lifted. Businesses which supplied equipment and services to the gas industry are ready to go.
It's very important that the government makes a decision to provide certainty not only to our industry, which stands to invest billions of dollars here in the Territory, but to all the other businesses that would potentially benefit from and prepare themselves to benefit from that activity.
For now, the Gunner government is resisting pressure. It says it won't make a decision on whether or not to lift the moratorium until an independent inquiry publishes its recommendations.
The independent inquiry has said they'll hand down their report this year, and we will be making a decision this year to either ban or allow hydraulic fracturing of unconventional gas reserves in highly limited regulated circumstances.
On Maryfield Station, Colin Ross has started mustering. He's expecting the gas industry will soon be nipping at his heels.
Once the moratorium's lifted under legislation, the current legislation, they can force their way in here and we won't be able to stop them. So I think they'll come and I think they'll destroy this country.
The state of the Territory economy is such that I don't think we can afford to be saying we're just not going to do anything. We're not going to look at this resource.
It's a community divide the Territory government may find impossible to bridge.